And in a few moments. Apologies, I'm going to keep leaning over.
If you want, I can click to tell me.
Oh, that'd be great, yeah. Cheers, so first I wanted to echo a bit of Noelia's comments about the marketplace. Also, apologies speaking for English. I hope that's okay for everybody. How we see the mobile market as it currently stands is, within RTB, is significant growth. So over the past few years, we've seen United States especially, but also across Europe and APAC, strong growth within RTB mobile specifically. Unfortunately, Spain isn't on this IBC's report, but to give you some sort of context, within Mopub, Spain's quite frequently always within our top 8 countries with regards to revenue, as well as ad impressions and ad requests. So one thing to take from that previous slide is, as an approximate, we're looking at about 10% of the mobile ad spend is now traded through RTB means. Sorry guys, you see okay. And then how that equates down to spend. So the projected mobile ad spend this year, we see around $64 billion, which year on year is significant growth, approximately 60%. If you take into consideration the previous slide, where I averaged out at about 10% of that is RTB based, we're looking at about $6 billion this year for RTB mobile spend. With regards to growth, how we see that across the next 3 years is going to more than double, and we see mobile ad spend as being 22% of all of the digital media spend. And how this works with regards to consumer habits and the shift we've seen over the last few years from desktop into mobile. So this was a study covered out by ComScore a year or two ago, highlighting the significant shift in consumer behaviour from desktop through to mobile. So we've seen desktop consumption time within digital drop by 13%, and mobile app rise up 12%. So mobile app consumption time now is approximately 52% of all time spent within digital media. Out of that 52%, again echoing Noelia's comments, 88% of that time spent is within mobile apps, and that's where Mopub specialises. So how does this all equate to Mopub? So all of this growth helps us grow as a mobile ad exchange as well. We see approximately 270 billion ad requests per month. That's a 30% increase quarter on quarter for us. Out of those 270 billion plus ad requests, we see nearly 100% of those passing device ID. Device ID being one of the most important parameters to pass within the data request. Our unique visitors is over 1 billion. We have 14,000 app publishers, which equates to over 40,000 applications themselves, of which we see approximately a 50-50 split between iOS and Android operating systems.
¿Lo escucháis bien?
Sí.
¿No necesitan? Vale.
Okay. Next slide, please. So all of this huge growth on mobile, we need to then delve a little bit deeper into what people are actually consuming within their mobile apps. This is a pie chart highlighting what percentage of time people are spending in and in what areas within that. So the key thing to take out from this slide, social networking, as I'm sure we're all aware, is a huge part of mobile app consumption. But beneath that, we've got gaming, again, quite well recognised, and then radio, multimedia and retail follow up the next 2 or 3 segments. How this then equates to Mopub's inventory, we try and echo this within our overall 40,000 plus apps that we have on our platform. So social networking takes up the lion's share, as shown in the previous slide. Entertainment, which combines radio and multimedia as well. And then gaming is approximately 12%. And then some other categories included on the right there. How we categorise our apps, we work with the IAB. So whenever a publisher comes on board our platform, we work with them to help categorise their app into 2 of the IAB categories, and then we work with them to ensure that that's correct. We're also working with a company called Proximic at the moment to recategorise our 40,000 apps, so users such as MediaSmart and other partners can utilise that additional data layer to ensure that the app is the correct category. So who are Mopub? So like I touched on, Mopub is a mobile-first ad exchange. We've been around for about 7 years now. Only ever worked within the mobile app ecosystem. We're a publisher-first driven property. So our mission and ethos is to help the world's best app publishers and developers to help monetize their apps, really. A selection of apps on the right-hand side. We also, as part of this, have a huge input into ad formats that these apps both host within their units and we build together with them with our Mopub SDK, and how we can drive additional formats such as native and video going forward. So I wanted to talk about how this actually happens, because I know that programmatic can be a little bit daunting within mobile. So Flowfree is a really fantastic example. So they're good friends of ours. Flowfree is an app made by a married couple who used to work at Microsoft. They built this app and then over time they helped monetize it, and now they're actually running their own app business, and they've actually left Microsoft. So next slide. Sorry, there might be a few skips on this, Diago. So how this works. So as you enter the Flow-Free app, you'll see there's a banner space at the bottom of the ad unit. And as you're playing the game, in the background, the Flow-Free app will send an ad request to the Mopub server, which if you just pop up there. Within this ad request, there can be dozens of parameters. It could be device ID, it can be lat long, it can be information about the end user, it will be the ad format, where it is, how long within the app the user's been playing, etc., etc. All of that information is sent into the Mopub server. And then here, this is where all of our demand partners can bid on the available inventory. So if you click one more, please. So how the Mopub exchange works is there's a culmination of our demand side partners, but we also have the ability for publishers to trade within ad networks as well. So an ad network will have pre-populated their effective CPM, which they're willing to bid based on this end user. We will run an auction of the ad networks, but simultaneously we will also run an auction within the Mopub marketplace. So within this we have 160 plus demand side partners all bidding on this relevant inventory and putting a bid across based on what they value that impression to be at. These then get amalgamated. $1.90 would be the winning bid. Sorry, Tiago, there's a few on there. And then the winning bid comes back into the ad server. We then receive the creative from the winning property, and then that ad gets served straight into the Flow-Free app. All of this happens in under 200 milliseconds. So a little bit about formats and targeting. So which formats do we support? These are our four, I guess, key formats to consider. So banners have obviously been the staple of mobile advertising for some years now. Full screen interstitials, which are a really, really effective format, especially for click-throughs, but also conversions. Video as well, which is hosted within the full screen interstitial format. And then native, which I know we've been talking about as an industry for a couple of years now, but throughout 2015 we've seen some significant growth with that. So here are just a few snippets of the format. So I want to touch on video and native in a bit more detail shortly. But MRAID as well. So MRAID is for rich media formats. So these lead for a much more engaging time for the user in order to build within the app. So Vast Video. So Vast is a video ad serving template. This is the template that we use as a business in order for demand partners to utilize video within mobile at great ease. So we have two different formats for our Vast enabled video formats. We have 15 second non-skippable formats. We also have 30-second skippable formats. Only after 5 seconds can you skip. So these cater for different brand or performance-led advertisers. So if you just click the next button. So here's an example of at the top we've got a 15-second non-skippable video format. As you can see, this is in an interstitial format, so it's full screen, and in the top left-hand corner you'll see a countdown based on when your content will end, and then the user will continue within their app and game. What's key to note here is that these formats are only ever served at relevant times within gaming or entertainment or social media apps. So gaming as an example, we try and only serve video formats obviously at the end of a level. We also take into consideration with some of our publishers whether a user has won that level or lost that level, because they have different perceptions of whether they want to engage with ad content or not. So native ads. So native ads has been, like I say, the buzzword for a couple of years now, but we're starting to see some significant growth on the platform, both from demand but also supply with native. So native can be a little bit daunting. I think when it first came onto mobile, people struggled to comprehend how this works across a whole wealth of apps. But in reality, it's quite simple. The publisher can have a selection of several different native formats that they can host within their app. And the demand side offering only has to supply up to 5 different formats. As you can see, we've got title, main image, a call to action, icon image, and text. And how these render differ based on the publisher and how they've set up their native property on their app. So here are some examples. So on the left-hand side, we've got barista bar. In this instance, the native format has rendered all of the 5 assets that I've just spoken about. This is very similar to a Twitter card or a Facebook advertisement. So if you already have those assets in place, this is really easy for us to build out onto the exchange. Another example here in the middle. In this instance, only 3 of the icons have been used, so the small image, the large image, and the text. And then again on the far end, only two or three of the title text and icon image have been used. So there's multiple different ways in which this can work. You can also predefine before a campaign goes live whether you want to do just the ones on the left, just the ones on the right. It's entirely up to you. All of this is passed in the metadata, all within 200 milliseconds, so you can make that educated decision yourself. And then once you've worked out your formats, it's all about advanced targeting. So this is a selection of some of the targeting metrics that we offer, all or some of which will be passed within the bid request. So user attributes such as Android, IDFA, demographics and language, location attributes. We also work with a lot of third-party data companies such as Bluekai and Factual, so you can also apply further data on top of the stuff that's relevant coming from the publisher. And then standard stuff like the ad unit size and the device attributes as well. So I wanted to finish and talk a little bit about Mopub and Twitter. I know there's lots of talk in the marketplace about how this comes together and how the company builds. So a little bit of background on Twitter first before I go into that. So Twitter, we actually celebrated our 9th year anniversary last month. And then just a year or two after that, the iPhone was released. Then in 2012, the first ad on Twitter phone was first released. And then Twitter started to acquire companies, Mopub obviously being a notable one. Crashlytics. Crashlytics is a company that helps apps and publishers understand any instances within their apps that might be going wrong. It also provides insight and depth into the users that are using their apps, such as demographics, time spent, where they drop off, etc. So Mopub, Crashlytics and Twitter has all been amalgamised into one SDK now for our publishers to adopt. This was released several months back and it's called Fabric. The idea behind this is it makes it easier for apps and publishers to bring all of these components together. So not only can they engage with Twitter content within their apps, they also have the ability to monetize their app utilising the Mopub exchange. Namo was another company that Twitter acquired. This, again, publisher driven. This allows a user to really tweak and edit how native ads appear within their ad format, how often, whereabouts, and how big or small the format might be. And then TPN. So TPN is the Twitter Publisher Network. So the Twitter Publisher Network is Twitter's demand and Twitter's advertisers have the ability to plug into the Mopub marketplace and bring that demand in. The logic behind this is a lot of the clients within Twitter want to build out with scale. Also, this demand and heavy branding side of things brings more publishers and new additional premium publishers, so to speak, into the marketplace. So finally, how does this work together? So I think the first year or so, of Twitter acquiring Mopub was all about understanding the two companies and how they can work together. And there's been several different avenues as to how each company can go down together as one big happy family, so to speak. How this has evolved recently, I've just spoken about the Twitter Publisher Network and how that's bringing additional demand and more